Well, here I am again, doing the thing that I hate to do but you love to see, reacting to your unpopular opinions about Taylor Swift. Every single time I do one of these videos, my blood pressure raises a little bit. I just filmed another one. This is my second one. And you know what? I'm trying not to get mad as hell. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Zach. I am the Swiftologist, and I make thoughtful weekly videos about pop culture. This is one of my more messy boots series. This is where I react to your most unhinged takes on Taylor Swift, and where I share whether I agree, rare, or disagree, common with you. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already. Over 50% of you that frequently watch my videos are not subscribed, and that's so mean, given all the work that I put into making them for you. So I would really appreciate it if you would go the extra mile and hit that subscribe button. And also, everything that is shared in this video is an opinion, so you don't need to lose your mind in the comment section. We can have creative and constructive conversations, but do we need to be issuing me death threats because I said something or someone else said something you don't agree with? No, it's just not necessary. You guys really came through when I asked for these on Instagram. There are so many of them that I don't know where to start. I'm just going to do like a Russian roulette and just scroll, and then stop. And this is where I'm going to start. I want her to stop feeding us. Make the Swifties starve. What a place to start. I mean, you know what? There is a kernel of truth to that, and something that I have been thinking about for a while, which is the contentification of Taylor Swift music that I think has really been kind of egged on and is an accidental byproduct of like the Eras tour and the lore building and TikTok Easter egg hunting, the meth math that we see all the time. I think that people are tending now to interact with Taylor's work as content rather than as art. And art is something that is supposed to like sit with you for a period of time. It's supposed to work its way into the deepest crevices of who you are. And it needs to take its time to do that. And artists who create that movement, that energetic shift for you, need time and space to create in a way that can really give you that effect that you need from a piece of art. And I think that, you know, this compulsion to be hyperproductive that Taylor Swift has right now is something that we shouldn't get used to, because a lot of the times, like, your artistic energy ebbs and flows, and she's definitely in a peak of performance right now. But I think that there will come a time where she needs to take some time off and take some space, because you need to kind of like get bored and be still in order to find out what you want to write about or what you want to communicate. And I am all in favor of her taking a break at some point from producing stuff in order to come back with a really clear and cogent idea or something that is really striking and different from what she's done before. But I definitely think that Swifties need to be starved for a little bit, because you need to understand what it was like, first of all, to be a Swiftie in 2016. And also, I think that we just need to give Taylor the space to create. She's not asking for it right now, but I think there will come a time when she does. And I don't know how everybody is going to react, because people on TikTok were already crying out for Reputation Taylor's version to be released before 1989 even came out. And it just strikes me as very ungrateful. Like, the Taylor's version project especially is so special, and I want it to last for as long as possible, because getting to hear like old songs from a new perspective and a new Taylor is something we're only ever going to get to experience once. So why are you rushing it? Begin Again is the best song that Taylor has ever written. Interesting. I mean, I'm a Begin Again stan. I always have been. I love it as a closing bookend to Red. I just think it makes so much narrative sense in a track list that is completely incoherent and not cohesive at all. My tracklist reshuffle video is coming, by the way. It will be released at some point. When? I don't know. It's ready to go. But Taylor keeps doing things that are requiring me and necessitating me to do emergency videos. So what am I supposed to do? But Begin Again, yes, Begin Again is a really beautifully written song. And I think that it's deeply sad, but also deeply optimistic and hopeful. And it really comes from that place in a heartbreak where you have finally kind of done the grieving that you need to do. And even though you're still vulnerable and fragile and sore from what's happened to you, you are ready to get back up and try again. And I just think that that was conveyed and expressed so simplistically and beautifully in that song. And I love the music video too. I think that it adds another layer to the song. This is an overlooked Taylor Swift ballad for sure. I think that we tend to put our energy behind songs that are more like energetic or forceful or obvious, like Dear John, or more recently You're Losing Me and Would've Could've Should've. But Begin Again is its own kind of like very moving heartbreak that I think we need to make more space for. I think Taylor should retire after she finishes the re-recordings, leaving at her peak as a legacy. Why are you guys begging Taylor Swift to go into retirement? I don't get it. I mean, do you really think this is all she has to give, re-recording the work that she's already done? That's like only one part of her life. She's still so young and has so much life to live. I fully and firmly believe in her capacity to change and transform and shapeshift as an artist. And I think that she is only getting better with age. And I can't wait to see what comes after this re-recordings. My POV is that I want the old Taylors to actually be dead after the re-recordings process is done, the Eras tour is done. Then the pressure to bring all of these old versions of herself with her forward into a new era and on a new tour. Because think about it, how is she ever going to tour again after the Eras tour? She can't possibly like do an homage to every era on every single future tour, as well as play new material. So my dream is that she just kind of like burns it down and starts over and really kind of goes back to the drawing board and starts from there with a new album. But some of you seemingly want her to retire instead. My unpopular opinion is that the Lover Shawn Mendes remix is better than the OG Argue with the Wall. Well, the Wall is the only one that's going to argue with you on that, because it's the only possible thing in this world that would not rebuke what you just said. Doesn't Shawn say something about the Titanic in the Lover remix? Not only is Shawn's addition to it unnecessary and the writing horrible, it's also the production of it sounds terrible as well. So literally, this is an unpopular opinion, truly. Midnights is Taylor's worst and most boring album, and it is truly mid, and that's being generous. I mean, I think I touched on this in my other unpopular opinions video, but I think the quality is in the title, Midnights. I'm trying to think of like what Taylor's worst album would be if I had to pick one, but I truly can't, because I'm personally attached to moments on each of her records. The one that I'm leaning more towards, obviously, is Lover. I certainly don't think that Midnights is worse than Lover. So I guess I can't really get on board with that opinion. I also don't think that Midnights is bad. I think a lot of people are misconstruing me saying it doesn't deserve to win Album of the Year at the Grammys as me saying that it's bad or that it's not a good record. I think all of Taylor Swift's albums are good, of course. I just think that Midnights lacks a certain kind of specificity that animated her previous works, and she had really circled back to on Folklore and Evermore. So I do kind of share the sentiment that the signs of Midnights as a quality generator for the rest of her work going forward are not 100% great, but again, I have that ability and her capacity to shapeshift and transform and do great things. You're Losing Me isn't as great as everyone makes it out to be. It's no way the saddest song. I have not seen anyone saying that it's the saddest song, but it is certainly the saddest song on Midnights, that's for sure. And the thing that is so sad about You're Losing Me is that it comes from the same place as Tolerate It. It's really about being ignored. It's about not having your needs tended to. It's about having someone that you really love and you've thrown a lot of your energy behind and wasted a lot of your life with. It's about that person not matching your energy and not seeing you for who you are. And I think that is what makes it so sad. And, you know, if you don't think it's a sad song, then I guess you need to get your ears checked. Go to the doctor. Maybe go get some ear candling. You got a wax buildup, girl. Fans don't get that Taylor Swift is a persona and we will never know who she is truly, especially after Reputation. 100%. I agree with that totally. I said in my Time Person of the Year analysis that there are 3 Taylor Swifts. There's Taylor Swift the person, the performer, and the thing, the cultural force of nature that other people like project their expectations or opinions onto. And I think that we are never going to know Taylor Swift the person. Like, we just aren't. It's that's not the nature of fame, and I don't think that's unique to Taylor Swift at all. I think that that's like the nature of being a celebrity and how certain parts of you get abstracted and dramatized and blown up, and other parts of you kind of naturally get left behind, or there becomes this impulse when you're sharing so much of yourself with the public to keep something to yourself. And I don't really know how much more candid Taylor could be because her music is so diaristic and confessional, but it's moments like the vault tracks and songs like You're Losing Me, for example, getting added to Midnights as an addendum. That's when you realize that there are things that she definitely keeps to herself or sits on or waits to release. But I think that like what's interesting about Taylor as a musician is that her personal life is her art and her work, and the Taylor Swift project doesn't really work if she's not being candid and forthcoming about her life. So I would argue that Taylor as a person is actually a bit more knowable to us than other celebrities are, just because so much of her image construction comes off of mining her personal life for details. She probably knows more about our fan theories than she lets on. I do be wondering about that, because the Time Person of the Year article again made me think that she was a little bit more online than I had once thought she was. It makes me upset to think that she might be aware of certain fan theories that I am sure do not please her or please anyone on her team or make anyone happy other than the insane people that choose to indulge in them. But I think that she is probably like fairly well kept abreast of what's going on. There was a time like way before social media really was a thing where Taylor said that she didn't Google herself. She just had like her publicists and her like team send her important things that she would need to see via an email digest, and she would read it every day. I feel like if I was that famous, I wouldn't be able to resist like taking a peek at what people were saying about me, especially when you've been in a situation like Taylor has been before, where a lot of online conversation can actually generate and turn into a real life consequence. Oh my God, did you hear that thunder? Tay Voodoo in action. But yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me if she monitors her online presence or what people are saying about her quite closely, because I mean, it's relevant and pertinent information to the survival of her career and the success of her future projects. So it would be silly of her to completely disengage. And also, I know a lot of my friends that like aren't necessarily Swifties this year have been dealing with a Taylor Swift algorithm. Every time they open their TikTok, it's like Eras Tour content. So if Taylor even is like casually browsing through like Reddit or YouTube or Twitter or TikTok, which I'm sure she does because she's a human being, she will encounter something about herself. Even if she's trying not to look for it, it will make itself clear to her, because that is just kind of part and parcel of being the most famous person in the world. People talk about you and you have to see it. Her eyebrows make her look evil sometimes. True. The most like obvious examples I can think of this are the 2013 VMAs, and also most recently at the Chiefs game where she was looking like Yzma and she was wearing black leather jacket. She looked scary. And I think that this is good. I like when she leans into the snake version of herself, the Reputation era, that villanelle character. I like it. And I want to see more of it. So please, more evil eyebrows, Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is so famous that every unpopular opinion is popular. This is true, and it always like makes me laugh when people say that songs are underrated. I think there is no such thing as an underrated Taylor Swift song at this point. Like, we have truly mined every single song to death, and that makes me kind of sad, because back in the day, we used to have songs that were just for us. All Too Well used to be one of those songs. It was just for the fans. It wasn't widely known by other people. Certainly wasn't cited as her best song of all time. But then again, that was like 10 versions of Taylor ago. So it's difficult to hold on to those kinds of things, but this is true. I mean, everything that could possibly have been said about Taylor Swift has already been said. It's hard to come up with an original thought about her, although I do spend a lot of my time trying to do just that on this channel. Red was a step down from Speak Now. From the lyrics to the production, it feels like selling out. That's so interesting to me. I mean, Red is not a good example of her selling out, because half of that record is like not commercially viable at all. If you're making the argument that the 3 commercially viable songs on that record, We Are Never, I Knew Your Trouble, and 22 are examples of her selling out, I mean, I point you to The Vault just to see the breadth and depth of what she was going through and writing about on that record. I mean, the lyrics and the storytelling on Red alone are extremely sharp and extremely poignant and vivid and writerly and literary in a way that the songs on Speak Now weren't. Speak Now gets this reputation as being her best written album because it is just solo written. But truly, you know, as a writer, you only get better as you get older, and the more you experience, the better of a writer you become, the more cogent your thoughts are, the more original your feelings are portrayed. And I think that Red is one of those big maturation gaps where she grew up a lot and experienced a lot of like painful and hard aspects of entering into adulthood. I mean, we see this all over songs like I Almost Do. We see this tension with Babe and Better Man of wanting to make something better and like finally realizing, you know, that not every story has a happy ending, and that people are not characters that you invent in your mind, that you can bend at your every will. Not everything has a clean and happy, good or bad ending. Like, Red really lives in the gray areas of morality, and it lives in that kind of like awkward and uncomfortable realization that other people's responses to the way that you behave are things that you cannot predict or control. And I think that Red really beautifully depicts the messiness of entering into your young adulthood and being happy, free, confused, and lonely at the same time. I mean, this song that you would perhaps cite as being a sellout is something that I think actually really accurately and acutely portrayed what it's like to be that age and to feel like you're trying to find your place in the world and feeling brave and excited about it, but also feeling terrified and devastated and heartbroken. I mean, it's miserable and magical. And if you can't see that, then that's on you. Selling out. If you're going to say selling out, the biggest sellout album of all is Lover. And I don't even need to get into that again, but it is. And Red, leave her alone. The Renaissance tour is better than the Eras tour, vocals, choreo, costuming, set design, etc. Why are we doing that? Why are we doing the comparing the queens? They have literally both said repeatedly that they are not interested in this comparison anymore. They are actively taking steps to show you that they don't want you to be doing this. We all got crowns, etc. It's also, again, completely pointless to compare Taylor and Beyonce as artists and to compare these two tours together at all. I mean, Beyonce is a performer. Her bread and butter is the fact that she really puts on this incredible transportive show, and she's a dancer, and she's like a real singer, and she's like musical in a way that Taylor isn't as a performer. And I think that that is, you know, something that is incredible to be behold. But Taylor can make you in an 80,000 person stadium feel like she's directly talking to you, having a one-on-one conversation. The surprise songs, I mean, just the sheer amount of production value that has gone into the Eras Tour, the set design for that show. I mean, I think that there is no point comparing them because they're completely different things, and they both are striving to achieve different things too. If Taylor was touring Midnights, I suppose maybe you could compare them, but the Eras Tour is its own unique phenomenon. Speak Now Taylor's version is the best re-recorded in my humble opinion. I just talked about this in another video that I filmed, not an unpopular opinions video, a different one. But I think that Speak Now TV actually is my favorite re-recording too. I mean, the vaults, no, there's only like one or two really good vaults on Speak Now, but I think that in terms of like nailing the accuracy and like putting heart and soul back into these re-recordings, I think that Speak Now is the most consistent one. Actually, I take that back. Fearless is the most consistent. Speak Now is number 2, 1990 is number 3, and Red is number 4. Just in terms of the re-recordings, the vaults I would have totally different ranking. But in terms of like how accurate and true and faithful she was to the original versions of the songs, Speak Now is certainly one of the more successful attempts at doing that, and I love to see it because it deserved. Better Than Revenge TV has even grown on me, just by sheer force of the production value being so good and her putting everything she had into that after changing the lyrics. She knew she had to. She had to make it good to make up for the fact that she was altering the canon. One of them just says, I like The Archer. Babe, that's not an unpopular opinion. Everyone in the world loves The Archer. I am one of the only people that doesn't, and I get attacked. This is just one of the opinions that I get attacked for on a daily basis. You want an unpopular opinion? Ask me what I think about X song, and I will likely give it to you. The Eras Tour is basically a greatest hits tour and should have had more deep cuts. That is interesting to me. I mean, I can make two arguments for that. So on the one hand, like, it is a greatest hits tour. That's exactly what it is. That's the thesis of the Eras Tour. And in order to do a greatest hits tour, you have to do the greatest hits. When you are in a stadium, you have to play to the crowd. You have to give them what they want to hear. I think the Evermore and Folklore sets kind of diverge a little bit too far into unknown songs territory for a really, really big mass audience. So I think that that's not necessarily true, that we need more deep cuts, because those two records are essentially deep cuts in and of themselves. And the songs she chose to include from those records are also deep cuts. I think there would have been scope to have put some more deep cuts in the Fearless set. I would love to have more of the vault tracks on the set list. I think that that would be a really nice nod to the strength and the power of the Taylor's Version project. I think we could permanently add Nothing New into the Red set. I think we could scratch full versions of We Are Never and I Knew Your Trouble and 22, put them all into a medley, get a little bit of Holy Ground in there, get Red the title track, get Nothing New. I think we could put Mr. Perfectly Fine into Fearless, easy peasy. I also think we could add a little debut moment into the Fearless set as well, if we really wanted to honor the eras as we are supposed to. And I think we could add one more song to the Speak Now. But you know what? Don't blame me as a deep cut from Reputation, now that I'm thinking about it. 1989, there are too many hits on that to include deep cuts because you have to do all the hits anyway. But Midnights, there are a lot of deep cuts on that too. Vigilante Shit, Mastermind, those are deep cuts. So I don't agree necessarily, but I understand where you're coming from. All Too Well is better than the 10-minute version. That's not an unpopular opinion to me. I say that all the time. It is the edited, concise version. I mean, there are two separate things. The 10-minute version is really symbolic. As a piece of writing, All Too Well, the original version is better, but as, you know, a piece of lore and as an explanation of the power of the Taylor's Version projects and as an example of what Taylor's been able to do with simply re-recording her masters, All Too Well 10 clears. The side bangs are so bad, I'm sorry. You know what? The side bangs are in an evolution right now. They're going through a stage where they need to grow out a little bit more, and I appreciate her commitment to the bit. She's starting early. I like that she's always got a blowout with the side bangs. That really helps. I agree the fringe needs to grow a little bit longer, but you know, give her some time. It will serve and slay before you know it. Just wait and see, babes. Fearless was the best re-recording and everything else was borderline unlistenable. Interesting. Red to me is almost unlistenable entirely from start to finish. 1989, there's probably like 3 or 4 re-recordings that I like to listen to. Speak Now, I think I just talked about this 2 seconds ago. Very successful. But you know, Fearless was the most successful one. I'm going to maintain that with you. Yes, it was. She'll grow out of the novelty of Travis once she realizes he can't match her on an intellectual level whatsoever. And now, what do you know about his intellectual level? I too make jokes about that all the time. But again, at the end of the day, like, I don't know these people, and we don't know what kind of intellectual level they need to be bonding on, because Taylor was with pretentious Heirloom Turkey for years on end, and that didn't really end up working out for her either, and he could match her on an intellectual level. I think that like picking a partner and someone that you're going to spend your life with is about so much more than like whether you can have intelligent conversations or not. Above all, the importance of feeling seen and loved and cherished is like paramount, and I think that Taylor really understands that. And we hear this tension of not being seen or appreciated or taken seriously in You're Losing Me. So I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say that. Christmas Tree Farm is her most underrated song. I don't care. It's such a happy serotonin boost. Okay, that's your journey. That's your journey. Christmas Is When You Were Mine is right there, if we're talking about Christmas songs by Taylor Swift that are actually underrated. But I'm going to let you rock. And I mean all of Taylor's merch is atrocious. Now, that's just not true. When we're looking at the old merch, I am a vintage tea collector, so I am married to the position that the old merch is a complete and total slay. But the new merch, really, I haven't felt compelled to buy something in like months, a year at least. What was the last thing that I did actually buy? The last thing I bought was tour merch, which I don't really count as like merch because I bought it in person. I didn't get it at the online shop producing garments from who knows where, made by God knows who. I mean, check out my Billionaire video for more on that. Getaway Car is overrated. I think this might be bottom 3 on Reputation for me. Getaway Car was a fan favorite from the jump with Reputation, and something I remember that I read in a review was that Getaway Car really does sound like a continuation of 1989. It sonically is the most similar to that period of life, and if you think about it thematically, that song is also a bridge between 1989 and Reputation, so I kind of like that it serves that purpose. I really like Getaway Car, so I can't really get with you on that. I think it's one of the best songs on Reputation. It's one of the best examples of her taking like an image or a metaphor and like really going for it and doing it successfully. We're not doing vague allusions to high school here. We're literally like in the motel bar. We are in the getaway car. We are putting in the money in the bag and we are stealing the keys and we are driving the getaway car. And to that, I have to stand. You can do whatever you want, but I personally am seated in the getaway car. Taylor should speak up when Swifties really go insane telling her what to do and to date. I mean, again, you cannot foster this kind of intimate, close relationship with your fans where you are constantly capitulating to them and like listening to what they want and making it very clear that you care about their opinions and their input on your work and your life, and then turn around and say, actually, I want you to stop engaging on this specific thing, but keep doing it when I want to promote my album. She understands, I think, that like the cat's out of the bag and you cannot, it doesn't really matter if Taylor were to try and call off the hounds. You can't at this point. I think Taylor has a lot less influence over what her fans do than we think she does. The last time I can really remember her like telling her fans not to do something was sending John Mayer like mean tweets or like writing mean things on her Instagram posts. And I don't know how successful that was. I mean, the media certainly didn't go on a fresh John Mayer sucks campaign, but I think that the Swifties did not listen to her and kept going on their relentless John Mayer must end trend. So I think that the power of her being able to actually do anything when saying that is low, and therefore she knows it's a losing battle. So like, why court the controversy? She also should never get involved in fan matters. And if you've been in the fandom for a long period of time, back in 1989 on Tumblr, the one and only time she ever got involved in fan drama, it did not end well for her, for the person involved, or for the fandom at large. It's a part of the reason why I think she really took a step back from interacting the way that she did with us on Tumblr. So if you want to know more about that, you need to listen to The Evolution of a Snake, my podcast where we detail the life and times of Taylor Swift. And also watch Madeline, my co-host's video, Noon Roast on a Sunday, to understand from a real-time dispatch, this video was posted in 2015, what happened. Ryan Adams' bad blood is better than Taylor's. You need to go to jail for that. You need to go to jail for that. It's so crazy to me that 1989 was only received well by like the pretentious music bros of the music industry when it came out, after Ryan Adams decided to do a cover album of it, which I thought was pretty atrocious, by the way. Those songs were not meant to be sung by a man, and they were not meant to be sung like that. So the fact that Pitchfork had never reviewed a Taylor Swift album, but they did in fact review Ryan Adams' version of 1989 is appalling to me. And Bad Blood, the original, goes off. That is actually an unpopular opinion. I love Bad Blood stan, so much fun, never take it off the Eras tour. The way she chopped it up was perfect. We don't need any more of it than what we got, but it's an irreplaceable part of the set. And I think that Taylor's version is way better than Ryan Adams. There is no cover of a Taylor Swift song that is better than Taylor Swift's version. Sorry. Because her life and her words are so linked to the music, it's hard to divorce her from the context. In regards to question, if the lyrics make absolutely no sense, I'm not intrigued, I'm skipping. Well, maybe you need to listen harder. Maybe you need to get out your dictionary and you need to look up what it means to ever kiss someone in a crowded room. Question is a song that follows the train of thought of someone who is not doing well mentally. And that is what I love about it. And if you know, you know. If you know the context, if you know what's being referenced, then you know. And if you don't, that's unfortunate for you. But you need to look harder. You need to try harder. You need to do better because it's all there. You just are choosing to ignore it. It's not that it doesn't make sense. It's that you don't understand. Do you see? Evermore needs cuts. Coney Island, Happiness, No Body, No Crime must go, especially Coney Island. I would be happy with all of those being cut. Although I do think that Happiness is a very like beautifully written song and a very well told story. I just don't, it doesn't click with me the way that it sounds. No Body, No Crime is inoffensive. I mean, I'm not really in favor of cutting from Evermore because I don't think that the quality drop is that low, but it certainly could use some refinement. If you're interested in a perfect confluence of folklore and Evermore, check out my Spotify. I did a combined playlist where I made them into one album, and I think it serves. And I think I picked all the best songs, so go and listen to that. The One is a skip, and you should be in jail. Fearless, the album, is filled with flops, okay? Tell me you joined the fandom in 2023 without telling me you joined the fandom in 2023. Filled with flops. Tell me why. Forever and Always, The Other Side of the Door. Fearless, Love Story, You Belong With Me. 15, The Best Day. Breathe. No flop detected. No flop detected, beloved. You need to get well soon. I can't help you. I can't help you. You need to check yourself in and do some work. Have someone admit you and do some tests because something's not right. Taylor Swift podcasts, with the exception of Evolution of a Snake, are all just inexperienced bootlickers. Confession, I have never actually listened to any of the other Taylor Swift podcasts. I spend so much of my time talking and thinking about Taylor Swift that like when it comes time to consume content, I'm like watching The Real Housewives, I'm watching daily vlogs, I'm tuned out of the Taylor Swift conversation unless I'm like interacting with my audience. So I actually don't really know what the other Swiftie content creators do, but I believe you. I mean, having critical thought is not something that is super widespread or common in this fandom for a number of reasons. I think some people want to get to Taylor and they think that at some point, if they want to get invited to a secret event, they have to have been uniformly positive. I've already had my lot in terms of going to secret events. I went to a secret session. To me, that's the coup of all the events. So I'm not afraid to say anything, but I think a lot of these girlies are a little bit afraid. And also they're afraid of the fans because it's true. Sometimes it's more trouble than it's worth to tell your opinion truthfully about something to do with Taylor Swift, because you can get flamed for like the most asinine, benign, what you think to be like non-offensive comment ever, but you never know what's going to set off the hounds. Every time Taylor and Lana had the same or similar song titles, Lana's is always better. What are you talking about? What song titles are similar? I actually need to know the follow-up to this question, so please let me know. But that is actually where I'm going to end this video today. That is the latest round of unpopular opinions. You guys have fried my brain enough. I'm going to go get a massage to try and fix it. But I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye, Swifties.